Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just gonna get ready with you, and for once I'm not voicing over this, so it might be a little bit longer, and we're just gonna chat. So a lot of people have been asking kind of like what was like the process of being here at the School for Troubled Girls and then here like a working makeup artist in LA and like the content stuff. So today we're going to bridge that gap. I'm going to talk a bit about me, a bit about my family, a bit about my struggles, and also a good bit about how I've kind of found healing from here to here. So it's hard to explain, and that's why it's taken me so long to make this video. But I also finally have the energy, even though I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm sick, but being alone and silent has given me like a new wind to go ahead and open up the subject and talk to you guys. So if you want to see how we got this look, which I don't really do a lot of teaching at all, I show you the products I'm using, but we're really just talking today. So if you want to chit chat and I guess see how we got the look, because I am doing the look, then just stick with us. So let's get ready. I'm desperate to put some makeup on my face. Look good, feel better is real. And I'm ready to start. I'm going to use the Dior Backstage foundation today in the shade 1N. And I'm just going to get that on the back of my hand. I haven't done like a real get ready with me in a while, and there have been so many questions that I wanted to answer. One of them being how I got my start as a makeup artist, because I talk a lot about where I came from, but not really like the transition. Also, on that note, people ask me like how I did heal and, you know, X, Y, and Z. And I would say I didn't start healing until I removed myself from my toxic situation. So after I got out of the program, I did struggle from 18 to 20, 21. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My parents heavily influenced a decision. Well, my dad heavily influenced a decision to go to college at a Bible school. I'm going to use this Temptu concealer wheel for concealer. And he put a deposit down on a school in Missouri. I went there. I was miserable, and I still kind of believed in what I was taught at the school and subscribed to that belief system, but it was when I was there that started to kind of unravel. So it was a long process, but I started to really actually study like the background of the Bible, and I was also in a relationship with a girl. So I started to study kind of like what that meant and if it was actually wrong. And I was so unhappy there that I spent my first year there. I tried to come home after one semester, but there was no place for me to go. My mom flips houses, and she was dealing with my older sister who was really struggling. And so there was just no place for me to live. My dad didn't want me, well, it's not to say he didn't want me, but he didn't support who I was at the time, so I wasn't going to go move in with him. I'm seeing myself in the monitor. I have to take a pause. I have to put on lip liner. I don't have any color in the border of my lip, and I can't not look at it. Okay, so long story short, I couldn't go home, and I was heavily influenced to be at yet another Bible school while being in a relationship with a girl who was there with me. And I'm not even going to get into that relationship because she went to the school as well, and that's why nobody was allowed to talk about me when I left. Because even though I left on good terms, I entered into that relationship, and then nobody was allowed to say my name anymore. And that relationship was, long story short, it was horrible, but I'm not going to say much because sometimes she comments on my social media. But it was terrible. So then it was kind of just like another person that I needed to distance myself from. I went home for a year, and at the tail end of that last year, then my sister passed away. So you guys, I'm telling you, like, I'd never been lower than that, and I already thought that like the worst thing that ever happened to me happened. And then I lost my sister. After that happened, I just knew that there was no way that I was going to continue living a life that I wasn't enjoying. And I was 19 when she passed. So literally right then, I started to think seriously about what my next steps were. I decided I was not going back to college. And a couple months later after this happened, I decided to go to makeup school. And so that kind of explains the first subject of what I brought up, where I was getting to, how I got from there to here. And really, it was just bad things happening to me having no control over them, and then me trying to like rewrite my life. If you follow me on Instagram, you see me and my sisters are very tight. We're together all the time. So losing one, it was like unfathomable. I still can't believe it, but it did force me to feel like I had to make a decision to start living a good life, because I was 19 when she passed, and in that same year I had a lot of changes happen that I decided like, okay, I'm not gonna hate my life. Like, I'm just not going to. I'm gonna never work. I'm gonna choose a job that's fun. I've never excelled like academically, and I always felt bad about it, like I wasn't smart enough. And all of a sudden I was like, well, if I'm not smart enough, then I'm going to be a makeup artist and I'm going to F off for the rest of my life. And I did, and it was the best thing that ever freaking happened to me, was just making that one decision. And then I found a school far, far, far away from home. And I hadn't really lived at home in a while. I went to the school for troubled girls. I got out at 18. Then a few months later, after I was home for like a little bit of time, and then I went to this college, the Bible college, and then I took a gap year, and then my sister passed shortly after I got home. So after that gap year, I was in Wisconsin with my girlfriend, who I'm not going to say much, but she tortured me. So I was there, I was very unhappy, and I was like, my life will start now. So I found a school very far away from everybody. My favorite, this is funny, my favorite influencer at the time was Samantha Ravindall. And she lived in Vancouver. She was a Vancouver-based makeup artist. I loved her in general because she talked a lot about her depression and her struggles, and I could relate to that so much. I watched her on YouTube and I just idolized her. And I reached out to her and I asked her where she went to makeup school, and she told me that she went to this place called John Casablancas, which actually I don't even recommend. But I ended up enrolling there, and my mom helped me because she wanted to get me out of Wisconsin. She wanted me to do something with my life. And so she, like, God bless her, she sent me there, and she took care of the whole bill. She sent me to this makeup school. It's quite expensive, honestly, for 1 year of education, but she paid for it, and I was able to restart my life. And I'm telling you, as soon as I got there, that's when like my life began. That's when I started making friends for the first time in life who were really healthy for me. And it was the best. I was finally on my own. I was far, far away from every person or experience that hurt me. You know, it had only been, by the time I got there, it had been almost 1 year since my sister passed. So it was just the best way to start over. And I really think, like, which I talk about this a lot, but people don't always see it, because if you come into the story late in the game, you don't know what my relationship is like with my parents. But my mom really saved my ASS by doing that for me. She reset everything, and that was life-changing. So that's really where like all the makeup stuff began. And I had always loved makeup, but there were some years where obviously I wasn't allowed to wear it. And so I think also that's why it made me love it that much more, because at the school we were only allowed like really basic makeup, and then they would also say like all these verses like I did a short on it. It was like Timothy 2:9 that says that basically you shouldn't want to like dress up, and you shouldn't want to wear makeup, and you shouldn't want to wear jewelry, blah, blah, blah. So I really took that to heart when I was at this school, and I really believed in it. So being able to like start over and do the exact things that were like so ungodly and so frowned upon by the adults in my life at the time felt really, really good. And I didn't have a backup plan, because some of my friends that I went to makeup school with, they're like, yeah, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to be like a nurse, or I'm going to be this. My best friend actually said that, which she's still working. But I didn't have a backup plan because I hadn't gone to college. I wasn't interested in that. So like I really had to become a makeup artist. Like it had to work. So I did work really hard. I volunteered my time, which is funny because I went to makeup school because I never wanted to work. And then I ended up having to work really freaking hard for those first couple of years. And that was in Vancouver. And then, oh my gosh, another bad thing that turned out to be really good was that I got kicked out of Canada. And not literally, like nobody was knocking at my door, but I really had to leave Canada. And so I packed my car after being there for 2 years, which I loved it there. I wanted to stay, but I had to leave. And so I packed my car and I drove down to LA. I'm going to use this palette today. This is Pat McGrath. Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad in Fleur Fantasia. So yeah, so then I had in this crappy old brush. This is the crappiest brush ever. All the brushes that I love are in my makeup kit for clients. So I use the crappiest brushes on myself because, to be honest, like there's no stakes in how I look. So I just use the junky stuff. But I have good makeup for myself, but just not good tools. So yeah, so anyway, I drove down to LA and then I got my start here. And this was like the hardest city ever to acclimate to, but also the most rewarding city once you really get going, because there's just a lot of work here. Like for the work that I do, I only just started doing like the social media stuff. Literally, like I think that video of the first time I ever talked about the School for Troubled Girls on TikTok, it went viral, and that was in December. So it's really only been a year, and I still do client glams. Like that's like my main source of income. So yeah, so it took a long, long time to get it going. Like when I moved to Vancouver, that was what, eight years ago, I want to say. But yeah, that's how I got my start, and I've been doing it ever since, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I mean, this is just easy for me, and it really was a positive change in my life. Like from the moment I went to makeup school, that was like the first day of my life. I say it all the time. You know that song, like, this is the first day of my life? That is really like the first day that I went to makeup school is when my life began, because it was the first time in my life. I just turned 21 by the time I got to makeup school. I think my timing might be a little bit off by like 1 year, but I think I was like 21. And that was the start of my life. Nothing before that was positive. And like, it's not to say that I don't have some positive experiences, etc., but like nothing was good. So I'd say like my main like healing and everything came from just getting away from all those toxic environments. And then again, like, even though I had been back home for a little bit of time, the trauma of and the loss of my sister, and then also like feeling like a weirdo like in my hometown because I got removed and then I was put back. And then when I was put back for a short amount of time, I was religious. So I'm not religious now at all. But it was really embarrassing for me to like try to go back. Like I was like, I can't be back here now. Like I look like a freaking idiot. And at the time I didn't understand that like it wasn't my fault that that happened to me. It was like literally like I was taken away from my family and that was all that I had was like Jesus. So I didn't understand that it was not my fault and I felt embarrassed and I just felt like I wasn't comfortable there. So that's also why I wanted to go to school like really freaking far away because I just wanted like a fresh start where nobody knew me and where I could kind of like, again, like rewrite history. Like nobody has to know these things about me. And I don't think I ever told any of my friends that I bought into like the weird shit from the school. Like maybe I would mention it like offhand, but I never talked about it. I got out of there and I was done with that. Like you were not going to hear it from me. So yeah, I can't remember what I was getting at, but that's how it happened. And then like I said, I ended up here and people ask a lot too about like the healing and whatnot. It's funny because I did a little bit of therapy here and there, but I never talked about it until that video. I never talked about going to that school like in therapy until like that video went viral last year. So I don't even know about like the healing thing. My big healing was getting away from everybody who ever terrorized me and putting a major distance in between people who had hurt me. And even like my dad, like I didn't talk to my dad the whole time I was in Vancouver because he didn't accept me, and he came around and he has since apologized, but he didn't accept me. So I was like, okay, bye. Like mom's paying for me to go to school and I'm never going to see you again. And that's really, at the time, that's really what I thought. And I think people, when they hear me say, like answering in the comments that I'm okay with my parents, I think they don't know like the history of in-betweens. Like they don't know that things once weren't okay. So, and it's too hard to explain a lot of the time. So I guess this will be like that video of explanation, and maybe I'll just stop answering it, or I don't know. I feel like I'll still get that question all the time. But eventually me and my dad, he did give me quite a good apology, and he also, you know, helped me out when I really needed it. So that's that. I also wanted to say, sometimes I get like scrutiny for forgiving my family and for making it work. But really, like when you lose somebody in the family, I mean, well, it depends on the situation, but for me, losing my sibling, my sister, her name is Hannah, it just made me not want to have conflict like with my family. Also, I feel like this is relevant. My dad didn't like disown me or anything, but he just didn't support the relationship that I was in, which, to be honest, nobody should have supported that, because that was a terrible relationship for me. It was so bad. But he wasn't supporting me because of the LGBTQ factor. And that's why I stayed so angry at him, because it's like, this is part of me. Yeah, it did hurt my feelings to be rejected by somebody who I thought that I had mended that relationship. Like when I got sent away, me and my dad started being pretty cool. So it really hurt me when he didn't accept me like a few months later after I had gotten out and entered into this relationship. Because up until then, I thought that we had kind of worked out the kinks in our relationship. So, yeah. So nowadays we are cool, and he's given me many, many, many apologies about just like the general apologies, because he's done a lot that has made me mad. So yeah, I chose to accept that apology, and he is pretty supportive nowadays, and he is, I think, proud that I didn't turn out to be like, I think like with my background, like I could have turned out to be a shit show, because I think I was set up to be like that. But I think he's pretty satisfied with the outcome too. So there's that. I dropped the cap, and this pen I've had for like a year. So it's gonna dry out before I'm finished, I think. I have to hurry. My eyeliner is really bumpy because I put that glitter first. Usually I actually like to put it second, but I'm just gonna try to smooth it out with a brush. And like I said, I'm sick. I'm not going anywhere. This is like just for no reason. This is just like so that we can chat, because I feel like I've had a couple days off work, and work like takes it out of me socially, so it's hard for me to like talk to the camera. But I've been off for a couple of days because it was my sister's birthday. I was in Vegas, so I have the energy for once. My camera started getting hot, so I actually just put on my lashes off camera, and I decided to do a strip instead of the clusters. And they're from Lilly lashes, but I don't know what they are, so I'll look at my receipt and I'll let you know. But I'm pretty sure they were like from a sample sale, because Lilly lashes will have like $5 sample sale, whatever, and it'll be like the rejects or like the samples or something that they didn't end up using. So I don't even know if you can buy it, but I'll try to find out. And if it's possible, I'll link it for you. So now let's circle back and touch again on healing, because people are always asking me like how I've healed from all this stuff. And like I said, like getting away was really the first step. And I actually didn't do therapy when I should have been doing therapy. I only started doing therapy when I was like 25, 26 maybe. Shoot, maybe even 27. And that does help me a lot, because just saying things out loud helps. But to be honest, like it was very therapeutic for me to start talking and like telling my story on the internet, because you guys, a lot of the stories that you guys are hearing is the first time that I've ever said these things out loud. And if there wasn't like a demand for these stories, I wouldn't have ever talked about them. The first time I ever talked about this, it got 9 million views, and people started asking for more and more. So then I started like digging into it. And then because I was digging into it, I started therapy again. So I am in therapy now, but therapy hasn't been like the main thing that's helped me heal. I'd actually say that medication has been one of the things to really change my life. I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but I do take a antidepressant. I don't know if it's like, is it like oversharing if I share like my medication? I don't know. I feel like maybe something should be kept private, but I am on like a low dose of an SSRI. And as soon as I started that, it started kind of like sorting out things in my brain that I couldn't do naturally, like whether it pertain to like people and relationships. As soon as I started like a low dose SSRI, I stopped doing a lot of things that were unhealthy for me, because my brain just needed that balancing, and I stand behind it. That changed my life. And the reason why I found out that I should be doing that is because my oldest sister, Sarah, who I don't talk about much, but she's like awesome. I have two I had 3 sisters. I have 2 who are alive. So Sarah told me after I explained to her, I was like, Sarah, I can't get up out of bed. Like, I couldn't get out of bed for as soon as, especially in the winter, I felt like I couldn't move like for months at a time. And then I would have like 1 month where I felt okay and I would get everything done that had been backed up, like health insurance, like every kind of like sort of annoying thing that I felt like was impossible for me to do, I would do in that very small burst of not being depressed. But for the most part, I've had heavy, debilitating depression for forever. Like since I was a teenager, I've felt this way. And so I was telling this to my sister, and she was really like the first person that I ever opened up to about it. And she was like, oh yeah, I used to feel like that, and now I take this, and I feel a lot better. And so I was like, enough said, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put more of this powder. And then it took me a while because like getting help for depression by a depressed person is really difficult because you have to like get up and do it, and making phone calls and stuff like that. Like really small things at that time in my life were really hard for me. But all of a sudden, as soon as I like started taking this med, I was like, oh, I can do stuff. Like I can get up and do stuff. Also, before I had been taking this medication, I was not confident enough to put myself on the internet. I was way too freaking scared. So that aided me a lot because it just cut out like the chitter chatter in my brain, and it cut out, this is a crazy cool blush, by the way. It's by Melt. It's called a Blushlight. That like just cut out like the unnecessary chatter and fears and a lot of my anxiety in my brain that I actually didn't even know that I was as anxious as I was until I sought help. So like I thought everybody just felt like that. And then people who are really active and stuff, who would like exercise and work and get shit done and like just be like all around cool and like just being active, I used to be so envious and so shocked that people could make that happen. Like there was this one guy years ago that was my neighbor, and I was unmedicated, and he would like run miles in the morning. He was a vegan, he would work, he was just like always chipper, and I was like, what the like my brain could not compute just like his level of activity. And then once I got medicated, I was like, oh, I see how this could happen, because nowadays I work quite a lot and I exercise and I, you know, take care of like non-related work stuff, or like I run my channel and stuff. And like, I'm not the most hardworking person, that's for sure, because my brain, like I still get really overstimulated and it's still hard for me to like put myself out there a lot of times, but it is so much easier. Like it has made my life so much easier. So those were like my 2 big things, honestly. Those were the things that really helped me and the things that changed my life. And like I said, I am in therapy and I really do quite enjoy being in therapy. But being in therapy, like I said, it helps me to say things out loud, but I say things out loud to you guys too. So I don't know. It's really definitely a culmination of things. And also, I'm not even saying that I'm like healed, like I'm better 100%. Like, I don't know, like it ebbs and flows. Like some days I feel like I want to hide under a rock for 6 months. And that's just like me, I think. It's just like a part of my nature. But I definitely have come a long way. It feels so like narcissistic to say that, but I have. Look at this lipstick. This is so cool. I did a video on this. I don't even know if I like the color as much as I just like how it looks. The other day I did it with a lip liner that I didn't love. Oh, I do like this color. I didn't like it with a different lip liner, but with this lip liner, it's great. And this is called Hora. It's also why I love Melt, because they just do what they want. I think I might need lip gloss and then I'll sign out. I prefer a lipstick that like isn't glossy but has a little shine, but I'm gonna use this Chantecaille gloss. Pretty sure this is expensive, so it's not even life-changing, but yes, I do really like it. And a fun fact is that Angelina Jolie wears this same gloss and she's worn it to many premieres. It's called Charm Chantecaille. I love this brand. I've been trying to get a hold of them. They have not answered me back, but maybe I'll send them this link. So actually, I really like my makeup. Sometimes when I do my makeup for camera, I like it for camera and then I think I've got to wash my face. Like as soon as I hit off, I'm like, I feel heavy, but I feel nice and light today. So I'm gonna try to go to dinner. I'm gonna go to dinner with my boyfriend. Don't worry, we'll like pick up dinner and like eat at his house or something, but I want to do something with him because he's the one who got me sick. So what's cool about it is now we can hang out because I don't want to be totally banished from the whole world. So let's take a look at this look. Again, feels silly after oversharing. I am done oversharing. Now I am getting off of here, but I love you guys' comments. I try to read all of them, but sometimes there's so many, but there's a few of you that I see again and again. So it is not, I try to answer, but sometimes I'm literally like have so many comments. I will try to be better at that, but I love seeing your comments, and the more I see you, the more I appreciate it. Like, it is just so nice for you guys to be here with me. I appreciate you, and I hopefully will be doing more get ready with me's. I need to do that. I need to do that. It's hard to find the time sometimes if I have like a lot of makeup work, but I'm gonna try to prioritize that. So hopefully I'll see you next week. Okay.